Everyone expected Taylor Swift to steal the show at her wedding. Instead, it was Travis Kelce who left everyone speechless, including Taylor herself. What he did during the ceremony caught the bride completely off guard and quickly became one of the most talked about moments of the day. Here's what happened. The wedding of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce took place on July 3, 2026 at Madison Square Garden in Manhattan, a location so tightly guarded that even the guests couldn't confirm they'd been invited until they showed up. The wedding of the American singer-songwriter Taylor Swift and the American football player Travis Kelce took place on July 3, 2026 at Madison Square Garden MSG in Manhattan, New York City, and their nuptials generated extensive press and social media coverage, although the couple did not publicize any details until after they were married. Everyone expected fireworks. Nobody expected Travis Kelce to be the one crying. The tears were reportedly flowing at Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's wedding, and according to guests, most of them were coming from the groom. Not a single tear, not a quiet sniffle he could play off. Guests who were actually in the room told reporters flat out that you would think the bride would be the one crying more. But it was actually Travis that was more emotional. Think about that for a second. This is a three-time Super Bowl champion, a guy who's absorbed hits from the best defenses in the NFL without blinking. And on the one day, everyone assumed Taylor Swift, the songwriter, the performer, the woman who turns heartbreak into stadium tours, would be the emotional one. It was Kelce who couldn't hold it together. TMZ didn't hold back describing it either, reporting that Kelce couldn't hold back the waterworks at the altar. That's not a metaphor. That's an actual description from people who watched it happen live a few feet away in a room built for 18,000 hockey fans that had been turned into something else entirely for one night. So how does a guy get blindsided like that at his own wedding? The answer starts with the vows themselves, and specifically with what Taylor Swift decided to do with hers. Here's the thing about wedding vows. Most people write 2, maybe 3 minutes of material, a few sentimental lines, maybe a joke done. That's not what happened at Madison Square Garden. According to 2 guests who spoke directly with NBC News, the couple's vows took 20 minutes each and were read from gold books. 20 minutes each. That's 40 minutes total of 2 people standing in front of 1,000 people, including some of the most famous faces in entertainment and sports, pouring out everything they felt about each other. But the length wasn't even the surprise. It was what Swift chose to do partway through hers. Sources briefed by NBC News confirmed that Swift's vows even included a bit of singing. Not a planned musical number, not a performance. A woman who has sold out stadiums around the world, who has 14 Grammys sitting on a shelf somewhere, decided that at the one moment when she wasn't supposed to be Taylor Swift, the artist, she was just a woman marrying her partner. She'd let the music slip out anyway, spontaneously in the middle of her own vows. And that's reportedly what got him. AMC Theatres CEO Adam Aron was in the room, and before he deleted his account of the night, he described the vows as long, entertaining, personal, charming, emotional, irreverent, and endearing explorations by each as to how they met, why they want to be with each other for all eternity. The promises they made in joining their much-beloved 2 whole families as one and committing to their new mutual life together. Read that back. 20 minutes of raw, unscripted honesty, personal enough to move a room full of people who've seen everything. And Kelce, the guy who talks for a living on his own podcast, who's rarely at a loss for words, apparently had none left by the time it was his turn to respond. George Stephanopoulos, who was there with his Good Morning America co-anchors, gave one of the first outside accounts of what it actually felt like in the room. He said the ceremony was great moving, Adam Sandler, funny and touching. Vows, everything you would hope for, real, vulnerable, serious and silly, deeply loving. Robin Roberts, sitting beside him, added that the couple had written their own vows in little books. Those little books held 40 minutes of material that neither Swift nor Kelce had rehearsed for the cameras because there were no cameras, no live stream, no broadcast deal. Just a room of people watching 2 of the most photographed humans on the planet be, for once, completely unguarded. That unguarded moment is exactly what caught Kelce off guard. He wasn't performing for an audience of millions like he does every Sunday. He was standing across from his fiancée turned bride, listening to her sing to him mid-vow, and there was nowhere to hide. Now, before we go further into exactly what set him off and how the rest of the night unfolded, including a surprise that had nothing to do with the vows at all and involved a member of the British royal family, it's worth backing up, because to understand why this moment hit Kelce as hard as it did, You have to understand how long the two of them had been building toward this exact night, and just how much secrecy went into making sure nobody outside that room would see it coming. Before the vows, before the tears, there was the buildup. And the buildup to this wedding was, by design, one of the most tightly controlled operations in celebrity history. The milestone marked a new era for the couple, whose romance played out in the public eye, until they threw a wedding shrouded in secrecy, thanks to what were said to be ironclad non-disclosure agreements and TSA-level security. That secrecy wasn't an accident. It was the plan from the start. For a couple whose relationship had been picked apart on the internet since 2023, the wedding was the one thing they were determined to keep for themselves, right up until Adam Aaron blew a hole in it. Reporters had been circling Madison Square Garden for days leading up to the event, watching the venue transform without being able to see inside. Details from inside the venue were hard to come by, but reporters had been watching for days as a parade of 18-wheelers delivered and unloaded supplies, mostly under wraps. Crews hung draperies, workers moved in and out under guard, and even the People magazine editor-in-chief, who covers these events for a living, admitted she had no real idea what to expect. Charlotte Triggs told CBS Mornings that this is going to be an absolute, spectacular blowout, adding, according to a source, it doesn't look at all the same inside. They've completely transformed it. What they transformed it into was a theme nobody had guessed. The couple built out a full secret garden concept inside the arena, an idea so committed that Aaron, before deleting his post, described the ceremony space as an outdoor garden at a lush countryside retreat with everything draped off in green and white. He said there were real flowers and what he thought were artificial trees welcoming 15 rows of about 75 chairs. 15 rows, 75 chairs each, inside a building that normally seats close to 20,000 people for a basketball game. Guests confirmed the theme independently to NBC News, describing how attendees didn't just walk into a ballroom, they walked through a tunnel that featured photos of Swift and Kelce throughout the years, from childhood through their relationship together, before stepping into what was the couple's secret garden. It was designed like a journey, literally walking through the story of two people before arriving at the moment they became one. And despite the massive scale of it, the numbers still surprised people who were actually inside. They say there were around 1,000 attendees, but surprisingly, it all felt intimate and small. Aaron wrote, 1,000 people, and it still felt like a backyard wedding. That's an engineering feat as much as an emotional one, turning one of the biggest arenas in the world into something that felt like a living room. The scale of secrecy extended to the guest list itself. Nobody would confirm invitations beforehand, leading up to the big day, which began Thursday evening with what was described as a rehearsal event for about 100 attendees. Few guests would even confirm they were invited, and even fewer confirmed details afterward. 100 people at just the rehearsal. That's bigger than most people's entire wedding guest lists, and it was only the warm-up act. By the time the actual day arrived, the full list stretched to roughly 1,000 names, and it read like a cross-section of the entire entertainment and sports world. The 1,000-person guest list was impressive, expansive, and occasionally befuddling. There was the Hollywood contingent, including Steven Spielberg, Gigi Hadid and Bradley Cooper, Dakota Johnson, Eric Stonestreet, and Hugh Grant. Add to that Kansas City native and Chiefs fan Jason Sudeikis, self-professed Swiftie, Nikki Glazer, Jennifer Lopez, Graham Norton, Jimmy Fallon, and Zoe Kravitz among the arrivals. Some appearances carried extra weight because of the history behind them. Swift's close friend Selena Gomez showed up dressed for the occasion and posted a photo on her Instagram account, wearing a fitted, beaded golden gown, the same color Swift wore for Gomez's wedding last September. That's not a coincidence. That's two friends who've stood beside each other through every version of fame, quietly returning the favor in fabric. Even friendships that fans had spent years speculating about got a kind of public resolution that night. Supermodel Karlie Kloss showed up too, and her presence alone did something headlines couldn't. Karlie Kloss also attended, seemingly putting to rest any rumors of a rift between her and Swift. Writer and director Lena Dunham was there as well, a friendship that runs both ways since Swift had previously served as a bridesmaid at Dunham's 2021 wedding to Louise Felber. Then there was the surprise nobody outside the couple's inner circle saw coming, a royal one. Ahead of the wedding, it turned out that Prince William and Kate Middleton had quietly built a relationship with the couple, one that most of the public had no idea about until after the ceremony. Kate Middleton and Prince William had a secret meeting with Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce in the run-up to the couple's wedding, gathering in London for their private rendezvous. It's believed to have been the first time the two couples had all been in a room together, since the meeting likely occurred in May, around the time that Swift and Kelce were in England. The royals didn't end up walking into Madison Square Garden. Prince William and Kate Middleton secretly met with Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce ahead of their New York City wedding, though the royals were not present at the Madison Square Garden nuptials, despite William hinting they might attend. But William made sure his presence was felt anyway, through Kelce's own podcast. On the very morning of the wedding, an episode dropped featuring the Prince of Wales sitting down with Travis and Jason Kelce, and the full episode dropped on the very day Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift tied the knot at Madison Square Garden, with Jason Kelce excitedly describing William as a 6'3" prince from London, England. That's the kind of layered surprise that defined the entire lead-up. Secret meetings, secret themes, secret guest confirmations, all building toward a night where even Kelce, who'd been part of planning all of it, didn't seem fully prepared for how it would actually feel once he was standing in it. Once the doors closed and the ceremony actually began, the wedding stopped being a secret and started being a spectacle of who exactly showed up, and just how personal this supposedly untouchable celebrity event turned out to feel from the inside. The most striking thing guests kept repeating wasn't the size of the crowd. It was how normal it all felt despite who was in the room. Robin Roberts, describing the mix of people at the ceremony, put it simply, because they had their neighbors, their high school friends, it was like any wedding that you would attend. George Stephanopoulos agreed, telling ABC News that it's hard to imagine that a place that big and a wedding with such stars could feel so personal and so intimate. That mix of ordinary and extraordinary ran through the entire guest list. Sports figures sat near music legends, who sat near actors most of America grew up watching. Gigi Hadid and Bradley Cooper were among the guests, alongside Tom Hanks and Paul McCartney. On the sports side, there were sports figures, like New England Patriots head coach Mike Vrabel and sportscaster Aaron Andrews. Cooper Kupp showed up too, along with soccer star Abby Wambach, sports broadcaster Joe Buck, musician Benson Boone, and Paulina Gretzky, daughter of hockey legend Wayne Gretzky. Country music had its own strong showing, unsurprising given how deep Swift's roots run in Nashville. Kelsea Ballerini posted about the night afterward, calling it, in a July 4 post, Brad Paisley and Kimberly Williams Paisley were also among those spotted heading in, along with Maren Morris, who shared a photo referencing Swift's 2014 hit. Ballerini herself described the event on social media as the most beautiful wedding, adding that she was still crying and dancing. Then there was the family layer, which mattered more than any celebrity cameo. Swift and Kelce made a deliberate choice to skip the traditional bridal party altogether. Instead, the couple had no bridesmaids or groomsmen. Swift's brother Austin Swift served as her man of honor, while Kelce's brother, retired NFL offensive lineman Jason Kelce, served as Kelce's best man. That decision wasn't just sentimental, it reframed the entire ceremony around family rather than celebrity, even while celebrities filled every seat around them. Even the officiant fit that same theme of blending fame with genuine closeness. Adam Sandler, who'd given Kelce a small film cameo the year before, stepped in not as a celebrity guest, but as the person legally marrying them. The couple's friend Adam Sandler, who gave Kelce a cameo in Happy Gilmore 2 last year, served as their officiant. CBS confirmed the same detail through Swift's own representative, who described Sandler simply as a friend of the couple. In a statement provided to CBS News, Kelce's own mother offered maybe the simplest, most human reaction of the entire night, cutting through all the celebrity noise with a single word repeated twice. Donna Kelce told reporters afterward that the night was magical, man magical. Not every celebrity reaction stayed composed either. Director Joseph Kahn, who mingled with Steven Spielberg and actress Kate Capshaw that night, posted afterward that what I will say about the wedding was it was so much funnier and emotional than expected. And as big as it also felt very intimate. All these voices, Roberts, Stephanopoulos, Kahn, Ballerini, Donna Kelce, described the same paradox from different angles. A wedding built at the scale of a Super Bowl that somehow still felt like walking into your cousin's backyard ceremony. And it's exactly that paradox, that closeness inside all the enormity, that set up the moment everyone was waiting for, the vows themselves and Travis Kelce's reaction to them. By the time Swift and Kelce actually stood up to exchange vows, the emotional stage had already been set by everything around them. The intimate scale, the family standing in for a bridal party, the friends serving as officiant. But nothing quite prepared the room for what came next. A source who spoke to people described the physical moment leading into it. Taylor walked down the aisle to a stage where they said, "I do." The source explained, adding that the venue looked like a forest sprinkled in white, complete with real trees and ferns. Then came the vows, and this is where things stopped feeling like a typical wedding and started feeling like something else entirely. A performance of honesty stretched far past what anyone in that room expected. Multiple guests confirmed the exact structure to different outlets. According to People, the couple's vows took 20 minutes each and were read from gold books. Two guests who spoke separately to NBC News backed up the exact same detail, adding one more layer that made it unforgettable. Swift and Kelce personally wrote their own vows, and Swift's vows featured a bit of her singing, with the exchange between the couple eliciting tears from those in the crowd. That's the moment everything shifted. A woman known worldwide for turning her emotions into songs decided mid-vow to let a bit of that music slip out, not as a performance for an audience, but as an extension of what she was trying to say to her husband, and it clearly worked exactly the way it wasn't supposed to. It wasn't supposed to be a show, it became one anyway, just for a room of 1,000 people. Instead of a stadium of 80,000, the same NBC News guests were blunt about what that moment did to Kelce specifically. You would think the bride would be the one crying more, but it was actually Travis that was more emotional, one of the attendees said. Men's Journal picked up the same detail from TMZ's reporting, noting that Kelce couldn't hold back the waterworks at the altar. Think about the reversal here. Everyone walked in expecting the songwriter to cry and the athlete to hold it together, maybe crack a joke, play it cool the way he does on his podcast every week. Instead, the storyteller stayed composed enough to sing through her own vows, and the guy who talks for a living, who's never at a loss for a comeback, sat there overwhelmed. Adam Aaron's now deleted account gave the fullest outside description of what those 20 minutes each actually contained. He wrote that the vows covered how they met, why they want to be with each other for all eternity, before a sweep you off your feet kiss to seal it. He called the overall tone long, entertaining, personal, charming, emotional, irreverent, and endearing. Taylor's own aunt, Robin Gentry, gave one of the shortest but most telling summaries of the entire ceremony when she briefly spoke with a British radio broadcaster outside the venue. Her description, "They cried and they laughed and they danced." That's according to Taylor's aunt, Robin Gentry, who briefly chatted with British radio broadcaster LBC News outside of Madison Square Garden. George Stephanopoulos, reflecting on it the next morning on GMA, offered maybe the clearest one-line summary anyone gave. He said the vows were real, vulnerable, serious, and silly, deeply loving. And that word vulnerable is really the whole story. Two people who spend their public lives performing versions of themselves for cameras, Chosey in that room to strip all of that away. 40 minutes of unscripted honesty in gold books, and Kelce, of all people, was the one who couldn't hold the line. It's worth remembering, too, that this wasn't the only unscripted musical moment of the weekend. The night before, at the rehearsal dinner, Swift did something she didn't do at the actual wedding. While Swift did not perform at the wedding, she did so at the rehearsal dinner the night before. With Kelce, as the couple sang their favorite rock song together, the two attendees added. So by the time the actual ceremony rolled around, Kelce had already had one preview of what it felt like to have Taylor sing directly to him, in front of people they both loved. Maybe that should have prepared him. It clearly didn't. Once the vows ended and the tears dried, at least publicly, the night didn't slow down. It escalated into a full-blown celebration. That kept surprising even the people who'd built it. The most visible symbol of the marriage came almost immediately after the ceremony. Broadcast not inside the arena, but on the streets outside it, for anyone walking through Midtown Manhattan to see. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's marriage was announced to the world, like something out of one of her music videos. Billboards outside of Madison Square Garden lit up in purple with the message "Just Married," announcing the news to those on the streets of Midtown Manhattan and the entire globe. A few blocks away, another New York landmark joined in without being asked. A few blocks over, the Empire State Building was lit up in blue in their honor, a nod to the age-old wedding rhyme. Even nature seemed to want in on the moment. Then, a rainstorm began. Timing so dramatic, it read like something scripted. Except nobody controls the weather over Manhattan, not even Taylor Swift. Inside, the reception turned into its own kind of spectacle, built around the same secret garden theme as the ceremony, but scaled up even further. Aaron described it as an even larger stage set of a secret garden that was just exquisite, featuring superb food and drink and music from an A-list audience. Part of that music came from two names that would make any wedding feel like a private concert. Guests confirmed to NBC News that the night included performances by Paul McCartney and Stevie Nicks, in addition to a raffle that featured the same kind of car that Swift and Kelce took on their first date. A People source specified exactly what McCartney played, noting he took the stage to perform "I Want to Hold Your Hand" for the newlyweds, followed by Stevie Nicks and Tim McGraw. The raffle detail deserves its own moment because it's such a specific, personal touch buried inside all the star power. The raffle items, which included multiple designer bags, also featured a 1970 Chevrolet Chevelle, the storied car that the couple rode together on their first date. Somewhere in that room, one lucky guest walked away with a piece of the couple's own origin story. Then there were the games, an odd, almost childlike touch for a wedding of this scale, but one that guests kept bringing up. One standout aspect of the wedding was the games that attendees were invited to play, through which people could win tickets to be submitted into a raffle. Reports from onlookers outside the venue backed this up before anyone confirmed details, noting arcade games and other unusual pieces of equipment being unloaded from MSG on Saturday morning, alongside a car seen leaving the venue with a Just MRD license plate, matching the Just Married marquee outside the arena. By the time the bouquet toss came around, the night had already delivered so many surprises that this felt almost like an afterthought, except it produced its own small headline. The bouquet ended up in the hands of Ashley Smith, sister of Chiefs offensive lineman Trey Smith, and whoever catches the bouquet is next to get married, so Ashley may have just put herself on the clock. Even the food carried a personal signature rather than generic banquet catering. Guests raved about it afterward, describing it as coming from the couple's favorite New York City restaurants. And the guest reactions kept rolling in for days afterward, each one adding another layer to just how much bigger this felt than a typical celebrity wedding. Sportscaster Rich Eisen attended with his wife, fellow broadcaster Susie Schuster, and joined a long list of names, including Fergie, Wayne Gretzky, and Selena Gomez, who all shared some version of the same sentiment afterward, describing outfits, memories, and moments from what NBC News guests summed up simply as an extraordinary July 3 night, calling the entire wedding a pinch me moment. By the time the sun came up over Manhattan the next day, the wedding of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce had already become something bigger than a single night. It had become the story the whole world was still trying to piece together, one leaked detail at a time. Officially, very little came from the couple themselves. After months of speculation and predictions, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce were married as they celebrated their wedding with hundreds of guests Friday at Madison Square Garden in New York City, with a representative for Swift confirming in a statement that the two were married in a ceremony officiated by comedian Adam Sandler. Beyond that statement, everything the public learned came from the guests who couldn't quite keep the secret. Aaron's deleted post, the anonymous sources briefing NBC News, the small asides from George Stephanopoulos and Robin Roberts on live television the next morning. What emerged from all of it wasn't just a portrait of a lavish wedding. It was a portrait of two people who, before the marriage became official, made sure the celebration reached beyond the guest list entirely. In the days leading up to the ceremony, the wedding confirmation came after months of speculation surrounding the details of the couple's nuptials, and on the heels of the duo donating $26 million to 20 local and national charities across the U.S., with funds split across children's hospitals, food banks, and music programs, in places with personal ties to the pair, including New York, Kansas City, Nashville, and Rhode Island. That detail matters because it reframes the entire spectacle. A 1,000-person guest list, a 20-minute vow exchange, McCartney and Nicks performing, arcade games and raffle cars, all of it sitting alongside a very deliberate act of giving, time to land in the same week as the ceremony itself. As for what comes next, even that carries its own layer of anticipation. Swift and Kelce didn't share any honeymoon plans publicly, but people who study her career closely think there's more coming. Brittany Spanos, a journalist who teaches a university course on the singer, told reporters she thinks there's probably new music on the way. If that's true, then the 20 minutes of vows that brought Travis Kelce to tears in front of 1,000 people might not just be a private memory locked inside Madison Square Garden. It might end up as a lyric, a bridge, an album track, the same way almost every major moment in Taylor Swift's life eventually finds its way into a song, which means the world may not have heard the last of what actually happened during those vows. They may just be waiting to hear it set to music, the same way Kelce heard it first, standing at the altar, completely unprepared for how much it would hit him. For now, what's confirmed is simple enough. Two of the most recognized people on the planet stood in a converted arena, read words they wrote themselves, and one of them cried harder than anyone expected. Not the singer, the football player. And that's the story nobody saw coming until the guest